Thank you so much for letting me present to you guys in this way. I know it's not ideal. I'm just here to talk about how these days athletics actually promotes community more effectively than the church. To start out, we should probably define by what we mean by the words athletics and community and church. Athletics, we're going to define broadly at the local, national, and global levels. Local, think of neighborhood sports teams that get together Saturday mornings, high school sports, and sitting on the benches cheering on the home. National level, such as college teams, the NFL or the NBA, and then globally, the World Cup or the Olympics, and other big sporting events. The church, we're going to define more locally as the church that you experience on the day-to-day that's in your community, in your town, that's mainly there, that also has community around it. Our definition of community, we're going to be talking about Gemeinschaft, which is so not seen in the world today. Gemeinschaft is the taken for granted community that is the opposite of Gesellschaft. In part of Gemeinschaft, it's defined by the personal relationships and the regular basis of day-to-day interactions with these people and how your lives are really intertwined and intermingled, and you really need that community, which can be seen in either places, but definitely in athletics it is seen more. The three places that we're going to stress where community is done better by athletics is primarily with marginalized groups because they have a bigger space to participate. Second of all, with the mental, physical, and emotional health of participants, which is vital to community. And third, because it unites on more than one level. First of all, we're going to talk about the marginalized groups. People with disabilities have been able to find a space within athletics for themselves. With the Special Olympics, 200 million participants are worldwide, which is the largest disability group in the globe. Additionally, the Paralympics, the Deaf Olympics all give people this space. Except in the church, there's still a debate about if disabled people can take communion or not. And while there is a large theological argument behind that, it does tell you that there is some people who are not included in that community, that are excluded from an integral part of being part of that community, and I think that is definitely something that needs to be considered. Additionally, the church has not been very inclusive in terms with women, but the sports have been a place of empowerment for women. In an Active People survey in 2013 said that 4.9% of men and 30.3% of women participate in some kind of sport each week. So there is still some disparity there. But since 1972, when Congress passed the Title IX, women and girls have benefited so greatly from the federal funded education that must be provided equally by genders, including athletic programs. In fact, a survey from 400 female corporate executives found that 94% played a sport and that 61% said that contributed to their career success. However, the church doesn't have that good of a track record. In the Faith Communities Today, 2010, a national survey had over 11,000 American congregations, and it found that only 12 of those congregations, 12% of those congregations, had a female as their senior or sole organizational leader. That increased with mainline Protestants, but it decreased to 9% in evangelical congregations, which is very disappointing to me. As for race, while in athletics there is a big issue with diversity and athletics, the athletics has been one of the primary avenues that segregation has ended. It's one of the first places that it starts, while the church has been one of the places that's lagging behind. The Institute of Diversity and Ethics provides report cards to all the major sports teams each year, and increasingly, the diversity each year of all like the NBA and NFL has been going up. A 2009 survey said that only one major sports team had a majority of players that were all white. Additionally, the church has only 5 to 7.5% of churches are considered racially diverse. This is a big problem that the church is not addressing and is hindering community. Additionally, there is the maxim that we're only as strong as our weakest player that is said at athletic teams all across the world. Churches don't always believe that. Excommunication does play a big role, and the church is very big at excluding LGBTQ community, single parents, or homeless who find community in other places. There's a quote from Babe Ruth that says, "The way a team plays on a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world. If they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime." And I don't think the church has realized that. It's pretty much okay with taking out people who don't fit in. Additionally, I think it's important to look at the empowerment that the athletics gives to the individual. So more than 162 million in this country have some relationship to sports, whether they're active participants, players, coaches, and all of this. However, church attendance, only less than 25% of Americans go to church at least once a month. That's a really big step. That is really interesting to the emotional health and how much we go about this. Additionally, the church has very varying aspects throughout the globe and historically, as well as athletics. But I think we'll just go over a couple of those right now. There are 217 denominations listed in the 2009 Yearbook of American and Canadian Churches. So denominationally wise, we are breaking more and more apart as Corpus Christi into local communities. However, the sports, they are a uniting factor. The legacy of the 2010 World Cup, the current Olympics, that represents over 204 nations, and it's a big symbol of the world coming together and working together and competing against each other, and that the world can come in these spaces, which is something the church hasn't been able to do yet. Historically, the church has also divided the globe through the Inquisition, through Crusades, and while we are talking with the local church, this is something that local churches did participate in. Additionally, when the Olympics was revived in 1986, its movement was to bring the youth to bring the youth of the world together to promote peace, friendship, solidarity, and fair play. In fact, local communities are also incredibly united by sports. There's an awesome story about New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And in 2009, when the New Orleans Saints won the National Football League, won the Super Bowl, everyone was united on that. After all this devastation, the sports team was able to bring about community and growth in a way that the church had not been able to do yet. In fact, there are stories of some communities getting divided because of disagreements of congregations within their small town, which is very heartbreaking. Another way we can look at this is that the reason that people join these communities, because if Gemeinschaft is the taking for granted community, the reason that you're in it is important. When you're in a sports team, the team has to go first. That's how it works. Mia Hamm is quoted by saying, "I am a member of a team, and I rely on the team. I defer to it and sacrifice for it, because the team, not the individual, is the ultimate champion." In the local church, you and your relationship with God is what's most important. Your relationship with God's the ultimate champion, not your church and how that goes. Additionally, in terms of identity, a lot of people identify as an athlete or identify as a sports team. And as a Christian, you identify as a Christian. You don't usually identify with the church that you're going to because it changes so much. With athletics, you feel more tied to everyone. Like, I am a soccer player. And that's about all the other soccer players that just also identify in that way. But with church, it's more, I go to God, so I go to church. But it's not the same in how you identify. Additionally, there is an incongruence between the commitment levels, and Gemeinschaft takes commitment. And a lot of Christians only go to church on Sundays and only take part of that community on Sundays. However, being part of a sport is a daily thing that you must take place. You have to think about how much you sleep, how much you eat, and practice. And in order to be a good athlete and take place in that community, it needs to be completely holistic, and the church is not holistic in that matter. Just to reiterate our main points, and before we go on to the rest of the debate, the church is worse at community than athletics, because athletics focuses on marginalized groups. It benefits the emotional and mental health of the participants, and it's uniting on many different levels. Thank you so much.